Hello, online crew. Let's have a chat about stories today. So I'm not talking about writing a story. I'm talking about the feature stories. So that could be Facebook stories, or it could be Instagram stories, or hopefully you're using both of them. So I just want to check in with you regarding, are you using stories? Like, I'd love to know if you can just share with me in the comments, do you regularly use stories? And just have a chat about how to authentically sort of use and sell in stories, because honestly, it's one of the easiest ways for a lot of you to share and be, what's the word I'm looking for? Open and have a call to action regarding your products or your business opportunity without offending anybody or cramming up your newsfeed with spammy stuff that you know that you shouldn't do. Stories is one of those features that let me ask you, do any of you fit any of these categories? Do you consider yourself an introvert? Does social media scare you? Does social media overwhelm you? Are you starting to learn how to build on social media, but you're really scared of doing anything because you don't want to do the wrong thing? Some of you starting to learn about how to build online, but you're not really sure what's appropriate and what's not, so it holds you back and you're not posting anything. Do some of you know the opportunity that you've got in front of you with stories and social media, but you're still really unsure of yourself, or you've got a bit of a lack of self-belief and stuff like that? You're still not posting anything. Can any of you relate to any of those things? If that's any of you that I just described there, then stories are perfect for you. So the video that I shared yesterday, and thank you so much for indulging me in my lack of power yesterday. My power came on if you joined me yesterday on my live. If you didn't, go back and watch it because there's some good points for you. My power came on in about after about 3 hours. So I did get my power back on. So thank you for all those that sort of messaged and caught up with that. But yesterday I shared with you a couple of different platforms talking about Clubhouse and, YouTube. But what I want to share with you today in stories, if you're new, if you don't really know what you're doing, you can absolutely use stories to get yourself started on social media. If you don't really know what you're doing, you've got a bit of a lack of confidence, those kind of things, you should be using stories. There are heaps of people in our profession. And when I say our profession, let me introduce myself. It's Helen Martin here. I'm your online crew captain. This is just a little bit of fun for our online crew community here. So we've got home-based business owners, direct sellers, those in network marketing, anybody building a business from home. We talk here about modern social media strategies to build your business. And yesterday I talked about the opportunity for Clubhouse and YouTube really quickly and simply, but honestly, stories is even simpler than both of those. Now, just on that, guys, there are no excuses for not being on the Clubhouse platform anymore. It is open to everybody. If you missed yesterday's live, go and watch it. It is no longer an exclusive invite platform. Anybody can join. And we do a Clubhouse room every single week, me and some entrepreneur colleagues of mine, giving out free information and training for you for an hour, just once a week. Okay, so get yourself on the Clubhouse platform, guys, and listen to yesterday's video regarding that. So how is everyone today? Let me just check in with some of your comments here. We've got Cherie. Anyone that appears like this, it just means you're watching from my group. So you just need to click the StreamYard link at the bottom of the description in the group. You won't see that link on the business page. I can see all of you, that's public. But if you're in the group, just click that link above. For those of you that are not in my free group, you want to be, because the structure here is changing as of next week. I will be live here on my business page, my group, and YouTube 3 times a week. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights if you're in the US, Canada, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Australian type time zones. But my last video of the week will only be in my free group. So you want to be in the free group. The link is above in the description if you're watching from my business page. If you're in the group, you're already in the group. You don't need the link, okay? Hello, Cherie. Hello, Crystal. Hello, Miller. Hello, Beth. Hello, Steve. Hello, Debbie. We've got Jade as well. Jade is definitely using them. Really love the creativity. It does allow you to be more creative there. Anna uses stories. Crystal is a self-confessed introvert. I'm an introvert. I love stories. I have fear around social media. Debbie's got all of the above. Love yesterday's video. Watched the replay. Awesome. Well done for catching up with that, Janine. So Crystal uses Facebook stories as well as Instagram. I'm also noticing a lot more people are seeing my stories, etc. Okay, so let me get into the content here. You want to be, if you're any of those things that I just mentioned before, you absolutely want to be using stories to get your information out there more and have some more success with selling more of, if you've got a product-based business, selling more of your products, and even like cryptic curiosity-based things in your stories regarding, building an extra income online or having a second side gig or something like that. So I just want to remind you, now some of you are using stories regularly, but you might not be authentically giving yourself the opportunity to sell a little bit more. Okay, so let's have a chat about that. But for those of you that aren't really utilizing stories, you're missing the boat. Stories are amazing because what you do need to be aware of is that the only people seeing them are people that are connected to you in some way, generally. Now, what I mean by that is Facebook friends, and also people that are connected to you in Messenger. But that may not be a Facebook friend, but you've had a connection in Messenger, which you can do without being a Facebook friend, okay? They are your warm market. Now, the interesting thing about stories is people are choosing to watch them. Unlike your newsfeed. When people scroll, Facebook makes a decision as to who sees what. So Facebook makes a decision as to when you go to your newsfeed, what do you see? Facebook makes that decision. You don't choose that. But when people go into your stories, they're choosing to watch it. So they're really warm market, okay, which is really cool to have that warm market. So if they click and they click and they click and they click there, that's a conscious choice for somebody to watch your stories. It's not just something that's put in front of their face like the feed is. So take notice of who's noticing you. Take notice of who's turning up regularly in your stories. So actually Facebook and Instagram, they tell you who's watching. So watch who's watching. Okay, that's the first thing. They're really, really warm to you. So there's more of an opportunity for somebody to click a button. If you've got like a feature on there, I'll get to that in a minute as to what you can actually do in stories. They're more likely to take an action because they're warm to you. So we want to turn cold market into warm market and get them watching your stories. So always be friend requesting and make new friends because they're more guaranteed to see your stories. And the more you share your journey in stories, the more people are getting to know, like, and trust you. And that's what this is all about. When people know, like, and trust you and you recommend something or you promote something, they need to see it over and over again. For starters, stories enables you to do that. So share your journey in stories, share your everyday stuff that you think is boring, share your animals, share your products, but don't share the name of them, but be cryptic. If people don't want to watch it, they don't have to, but if they are, they're choosing. Do you see the difference? Very powerful tool, stories. But how you authentically sell in stories is by using the features that are in the stories. So there are stickers that you can place on your stories and you can ask a question, you can put a poll, you can get them to comment on something. You absolutely want to be using those. So I've got a bit of a strategy for you in a second, but I just want to remind you of sort of how you can be executing stories on Facebook and Instagram or both. Ideally, don't let this scare you. Ideally, you want about 8 to 10 stories a day. Some of you have gone, no way. Some of you are just not in the habit of using stories. It is not difficult to do stories all day long when you just get used to sharing your journey. Now, some of you might be shy to share your journey, But stories can be quotes. Stories can be what you're doing in your day. Stories can be your animals. Stories can be what you're cooking, what you're drinking, where you're going for a walk. Stories don't have to be all thought out, planned content like you might have for a news feed. You're just sharing you. The best thing you can do on social media is be authentically you, because that's what people are drawn to. People are drawn to the real authentic you. The more you let people get to know you in your stories, the more likely they're to reach out and ask you what it is that you have. Okay? So I'm encouraging you to share more of your life in stories. Have comfort in knowing that they disappear every 24 hours. But the reason you want 8 to 10 is that there's always something there, and spread them out so they're not all disappearing at the same time. So some of you might go on a stories blitz and go, oh, I haven't done any stories. It's 10 o'clock at night. I better post like 3 or 4 of them, and so they're all bunched up, which means after 24 hours, they all disappear at the same time. So if you can get into the habit of doing a story in the morning, a story mid-morning, lunchtime, mid-afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, late evening, you've got something in that 24-hour period. So every time you post a story, you get pushed to the front of the line. Now, what I mean by that is if we go into my stories, just get to the right spot there. So my story shows first, okay? And for me, that's my sister. So my sister is next. And then we've got Susan next, who's in this community. We've got Hero next. Then we've got Laurie. And every time they post something in their stories, it pushes them closer. So you always want to be at the front of somebody's stories. The only way you can do that is to post in stories more often. And if you post all your stories at the same time, you're still only going to be pushed to the feed once, and then all the other stories are going to sit behind it. But if you stagger your stories throughout the day, you're continually being pushed to the front of, what somebody sees here, especially if they interact with you. Now, the key in relation to the strategy behind it is if I go into stories and I take a picture of me, okay, so just taking a picture of me in my stories, is when I go to the stickers. So authentically selling in stories, this is what I recommend you do sort of 10 to 20% of the time, not any more than that. So share your journey, share what you do, share things that are important to you. So if you've got health and wellness products, share health and wellness stuff in your stories. If you make something, share it. If you've got a tip, share it. If you're at absolute loss, then share an inspirational quote of some sort. Just go and say something to your camera roll and post it to your stories. It is not difficult to fill up your stories when you're thinking about it and it's on your radar. But what you want to do for authentically selling in stories is sharing something, then using one of these 3 stickers here: poll, question, or a comment. Now, when you go into the poll, you can ask your question. You can edit the yes and the no. I know that's not appearing, but you never want a yes and a no. You want a yes and a yes. So you might be talking about a new product that's coming out and you've got some benefits written on it. Or even better, if you've got a few things to say, but it's too much for one story, like just be careful of how much text you put on stories, because in Facebook, they only last 20 seconds. In Instagram, they only last 15 seconds, and you can put your finger on and pause them, but you don't want to have too much written on your story because it's just too hard for people to read. Is do a sequence. So take your photograph 3 different times and then have 3 different stories sharing something with them. Would you like to know what I've got? 1 story. Got this amazing new, I'm loving something or other. That's your 2nd story. And then on your 3rd story, you might have, would you like to try some? Yes or absolutely. So you actually spread it out over 3 stories, sharing what it is that you want to say, and you have a call to action on the last one with 2 yes responses, yes or absolutely. Okay, you never have yes or no. Never use yes or no. It's either a yes or a yes. Just say it just in a different way for the second one, okay? But spread out your stories. So I want to give you some ideas for stories of those of you like, oh, I don't know if I can do 8 to 10 stories a day. I don't always do 8 to 10 stories a day. It's just a guideline. If you want people to see you more often, you want more visibility on social media. Stories is a very quick and easy way for you guys to get more visibility and to share your stuff. Still do it in a nice, respectable, curiosity-based way, not a spammy way. Don't show the names of your products even in your stories. Still cover the actual company name and stuff like that, because people just go on Google or worst case scenario, they go, oh, I wonder what that product actually is. You show the name of the company, they go to Google and they go and order it straight from the company website. That's even worse. So you've got to make sure people are, reaching out to you. So you do a few posts, and then you've got your question or your poll. Would you like to learn a little bit more about this? Yes, or absolutely. And then that goes straight into your messenger, and you can follow somebody up and then actually ask them, what is it that you're looking for? And you can actually care about a potential customer rather than just sending them a website link, selling them your product. Like, care about your people. Okay. But if you are constantly in your stories and you're constantly sharing your life, it's not left of field for you to then pop up and authentically sell in stories, because people are used to seeing you in stories. If you don't use stories and then you put a promo post up in your stories, it's like, ugh. People are not used to that. That's not authentic. So 20% of the time, not just you don't post very often in stories and then you put a promo post up, or you put your before and after shots up, but you haven't posted anything in stories for a week. Like, that's just tacky, guys. So to authentically sell in stories is to share your journey daily, share what you're up to, share the benefits of what you use, share curiosity about what you use. And then at the right time, when you've got something to promote or something to sell, use the poll feature. That's the best one to use, or, any of the other interactive stickers, and then promote that. That is far more authentic than just using stories to sell when you're not regular in your stories. Does it make sense? Now, I just want to finish off by sharing with you some different ideas in your stories. So one is obviously selfies. The other is just what you're up to. Have you got a pet? Have you got an animal? Like, are you going for a walk? You're going to the shops? Did you see something? Like, behind the scenes, all those kind of all that kind of stuff. You can do video. Like, you can put your finger on your thumb and actually video and say something. Or you can take a still shot, like a photo. You can upload from your camera roll. You could use like Bitmoji stories. Who's caught my stories on my personal profile or Instagram in the last 12 hours? Did you see my little Bitmojis thing? Go and check out my stories if you don't know what I'm talking about. That's another filler. It's funny. You would be surprised how many people message me and go, how did you do that? People that have never messaged me before, that I'm obviously connected to. How did you do that? I've never seen that done before. It's still a connection, okay? And you can see who's watching. So there's all sorts of things that you can do in stories. I'm just encouraging you to fill up your stories with your life, let people to get to know, like, and trust you, so then you can authentically sell in stories. And people need to see you doing that over and over and over again before they actually maybe take an action. Somebody might need to see your message 10, 15, 20 times before they actually buy. We are in a very busy world in social media. I know it overwhelms a lot of you. It overwhelms me sometimes. A lot of the time. What am I talking about? Social media is overwhelming, keeping up with all the things, not only what I have to do, but all the messages coming in, all the groups that I run and everything. Social media is exhausting. But for me to, for somebody to maybe want to opt into something of mine, buy a product of me, join my network marketing team, like, I've got to have the messages out there and I've got to say it over and over again. Like, I'm in the industry, I'm in the health and wellness business. I don't hide that. I tell you guys that. But you've got to share these things over and over again for somebody to actually finally make an action. So what you don't want to do is not be active in stories and then do your selling posts. That is not authentic. It won't work well. But if you continue to share the journey, and this is social media in general, guys, share your journey. Just share your journey. It's not that one post that's going to, attract 15 customers or get 10 people to join your team. It's not those posts that say, oh, it's end of month. I would really love it if you bought something off me. Ugh, cringy. It's when you post like over and over again about a certain thing and then people respect you and trust you and it's like, yeah, I should really, that's intriguing to me. I might message Helen and see what that's all about. Okay, so does that make sense? 80% of the time, sharing your stories, regular posts about you, your life, and what you're up to. It doesn't have to be strategic. It doesn't have to be, anything in particular. You just share you. Just share you, more of you and what you're up to. But, weave in there the products that you use, but, hiding the label and things that you recommend or tips, just fill up your stories with a whole lot of stuff so you can authentically sell in your stories. It works fabulously. There are heaps of people in this industry selling a lot of stuff in Facebook and Instagram stories. So don't be afraid of it. It's a fantastic way for you to sell, is in stories rather than doing it on the news feed, which could be perceived as a bit spammy. Okay. So, yeah. I think I've made my point. I just really want to encourage you guys that are newer to building on social media. You don't even have a brand yet. You're just learning about how to build on social media the right way. Stories is a perfect place for you to start and just get a little bit more active in sharing your life out on the big wide world of the internet. Okay. So I hope that, Steve, just saw your comment there. I'm upping my game. Love it, Steve. We'll finish off on that. I love that. And that's really all it is for some of you, is just upping your game and your visibility. You can't grow a business on social media if you're not visible. So if you're not really posting regularly, you're not doing live videos, there's a lot of things that you're not doing and you're stuck in learning mode and you're not taking a lot of action. At a very minimum, get active in stories. It's one of the fastest, easiest things that you can do to help build your business. Okay. I hope that's helpful. Please pass this message along to other people that you know are newer to the industry or that they're holding themselves back. Stories is a fantastic place to start. Okay. So I will see you guys same time tomorrow. Thank you for those that are joining me live or catching the replay. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.